Hey, it's Sunday, August 27th, 2023. And I had some thoughts last night I wanted to talk about. And so that's what I'm here to do. I don't have a lot of time. I got a fantasy football draft to go to here shortly. So, uh, you know, keep on doing things. It's interesting that I really doubt I'll be here for the end of the fantasy football season, given the way things are going. But, that's the way it goes. So what did I want to talk about? Oh, last night went to Counting Crows over at the River Spirit Casino. Uh, Great show. I mean, I was emotional. I'm a big karaoke guy. You can see some of my songs on YouTube where I've sung stuff. I've got a decent voice. I'm not American Idol material, but really enjoyed the concert and going out. Had a great steak and had a good time, and it was good, and I'm not hurting too much. I'm weak, but it was a very memorable night. Uh, One other note, my son, Will, I know you're out there, it needs to learn to keep a to-do list. I hope when he goes to college that he learns to, uh-oh, there we go. I don't know, it kind of just froze there. I hope when he goes to college that he learns to put everything in a calendar as soon as he gets his syllabus, so he knows everything, every test, every assignment for the rest of the semester. It's all in one place. Right now, he's just not great at keeping up on his homework. It's all due today, and of course, in his 2 college classes that he's taken in his senior year. He's taking Calc 2. I'm super proud of him, and he's also taking a computer programming class. But yeah, anyway, so what were my thoughts? One of my thoughts that I wanted to talk about was, how do I know for sure? And I'm 100%, like to the 100 decimal places, certain that I have what I've always said I have. And it's just really boils down to simple to me, is that I have lived through so much, from the very beginning in Valoriat to the weirdness that I had over the next year or so, to taking on water when I jumped into pools, to uh, having these other times when I had just burning skin issues and intestinal issues and everything. And always they didn't ever find anything clinical during these subsequent times, which is exactly how the article lays it out. And it's the only thing that makes sense. I think, when you eliminate all the possible things, so when you eliminate all the things that you can, whatever's left, no matter how impossible, is has got to be it. Okay, so we've eliminated everything the doctors can think of. All right, so obviously what's going on is something that doctors can't think of. The other choice is I've had some 28-year psychosis, or B, I'm just making it up. Okay, and it's not A and it's not B, so therefore C is the only thing that's left, which is my explanation. If I was to point to one thing that absolutely convinced me, besides the initial event when, I drank the Diet Coke and I was able to change my life, okay, I would point to the transition that I had on January 17th of 2022, when, I had this pain at my perineum, and the next day is when the transition started, and I went from having, and I know this is kind of gross details, folks, but I went from feeling like an old man when I went to pee, to where, I was always kind of just interrupting streams and type stuff, to suddenly had an urgent need to go very frequently, and there was this dark urine. And so this is all this stuff that my body has shoved by pressure into my legs and stuff like that, coming out. And the extra fluid, as far as blood volume that my body has been able to maintain with this back pressure, all of that, okay, basically leaving my system. And I mean, those things alone are enough to convince me, even if I didn't have all the other stuff that went on. I mean, there's so many other things that I could point to. One thing I want to bring up that is relevant from the article that I haven't ever talked about anywhere, even in my write-ups and stuff like that, is how it talked about how, at the end, the kidneys basically slowly stop working at all. And it's not like they've been working normally. So you have to remember, when we kind of create this back pressure initially and we reverse the polarity at the nephrons, okay? So now basically the partial pressures, okay, is how your kidneys operate, the partial pressures between the venous system and everything. Okay, so all these things are reversed, and they're doing things differently than they ever have before. Okay, and it causes damage to the kidneys, but what happens is, so the kidneys would normally be doing a lot of filtering out of things, okay? And what happens is, and so I'm going to get kind of a couple things all tied together here. Is that so? The kidneys are removing stuff, but the partial pressures of everything are also putting stuff that the kidneys would normally remove, like during certain phases, they're putting it into your flesh, but in other phases, they're forcing it into your feces through that back pressure into the lower intestines, into the feces. Okay, but when all of that is removed, okay, so now suddenly those charges go back to the way they're supposed to be. All right. But now the kidneys are in this damaged state, okay? And at first, everything works great because, hey, we're now, I don't remember exactly the details, but it talked about how at first everything works great, and the body is doing a lot of filtering of things, and literally talking about how, so the capillaries in your fingers, okay, are doing filtering that would normally take place in your liver. And that's something that I haven't gone into either, but like from the very beginning of this, due to the circulatory flows, the liver stops doing its job of filtering. And so other parts of your body make up for it in weird ways, but obviously those are all compensatory and not, going to last forever. So anyway, after these kind of final phases happen, we talked about how kind of at the very end, your nephrons are literally kind of doing filtering. And so stuff is getting plugged up in your nephrons, proteins, and eventually, okay, they can't do their job anymore, and so you go less and less. And I've definitely experienced that. I went from the very beginning of this to everything's working great all of a sudden, and man, I'm just huge amounts every day. So now I go 3 times a day, and that's it. And it's lessening over time, and so that's really, and it talked about, so it gets to a point where literally the patients, they have one last urgent need to go or whatever, and then they just can't, there's no more, and that's really the very, very big, that's the beginning of the very, very end kind of there. And I don't know when that'll be. I know things are slowing down, but it's yet more knowledge that I'm trying to share, I guess would be the way to put it. This human physiology has changed so much by this, that it's been redacted. I mean, one thing that also that I haven't talked about is so that back pressure, it creates all this for your legs, and basically, keeps everything, enables you to kind of store extra fluids and everything, and obviously that it puts more kind of a drain on your heart. But once kind of that back pressure is released and everything, and you release all those fluids, then your heart really isn't strong enough anymore to kind of pump like it should. And pretty soon you have this circulatory system. The way it made it out is like it's mostly just upper body circulation, and very little is going through your legs, and because all those cells are apoptotic, and they're not really doing anything other than conducting nerve impulses and things like that. So that's like how I can take my toenail and split it down the middle and peel it, and it when it gets to what you think would be the part where it would hurt, it just keeps on tearing and comes right off. And I know all this, sounds crazy if you were to listen to it today, but I think time will show, if you're watching this and I'm not here anymore, time will show that, hey, he's definitely had something, and I'm sure they're going to write it off as autoimmune polyendocrine or sepsis, or just heart failure or something like that. It's not going to be any of those things. I mean, so why would my heart suddenly fail when I've been in shape all my life, and I haven't been having heart attacks or whatever? I mean, none of these other things would make sense. Autoimmune polyendocrine with candidiasis does not have this type of pathology. It shows up, with visible candidiasis and things like that. And, it doesn't have all these normal test results that I've had for years and years when you're complaining of issues. That's not the way it works. It doesn't have these, transitions where you go through and everything's weird and then everything's okay, except maybe your body shape changes, and it doesn't have any of that. So, it is what it is. I'm just trying to share my knowledge. And that's about it. I'm just going to keep making a daily video, or most days, and post them out there for 2024. Take it easy.